2. For the first session, that will be presented by myself, Ms. Doreen Della Agbado, the Country Ambassador of IELTS Ghana. And the topic is curriculum development and reviews. And we are going to be specific to pre-tertiary curriculum reviews in Ghana. Pre-tertiary curriculum reviews in Ghana. Now, I would like us to try this. Let us gauge how familiar we are with the new curriculum in Ghana. So if you are using your laptop to view the session, you can scan the QR code with your phone and it will open on your phone to a Mentimeter poll for you to see. You can also, I would put a link in the chat room. You can equally click on that to have access to the questions. Or if you are not able to, you can still type your response in the chat room. So the question is, how familiar are you with the new curriculum? How familiar are you with the new curriculum? Okay, I see one person has responded. You can either type your response in the chat room or you can scan the QR code and select the option that applies to you. So if you do scan the QR code, the response will come here in real time for us to see. Okay. So far, we still have only one response. I would really appreciate if we can get more than one response on the question. How familiar are you with the new curriculum? Okay, the link. I do not want to stop sharing. Okay, another response has come in. Not much familiar. Okay, I see somewhat familiar, not familiar, not familiar, not much familiar. We are trailing 34 in my school. Oh, Mr. Xavier, not much familiar. Okay, it seems we are having a number of not much familiar. So for those of us who have joined the session, we can see that we all have varying degrees of familiarity with the new curriculum. Yes. Whether you teach at the basic level or the SHS level, you would have different levels of familiarity with the new curriculum. So that is good. We can take it from there. Now, at the end of the day, let's see if in actual sense, we are really somewhat familiar, very familiar, or not much familiar with the new curriculum. Thank you very much for your responses. Okay, so for my session, we are going to be looking at the key changes in Ghana's pre-tertiary curriculum and the impact on teaching and learning. It is going to be quite an interactive session where I'll be asking for your views and your experiences, because we are all experiencing these in our classrooms, in our schools. We are also going to be discussing challenges that we are facing since the rollout of the new curriculum, and some of the best practices we believe we can employ to make implementation more effective. The first question we would need to ask ourselves is, what is a curriculum? How would we define a curriculum? Kindly share your responses in the chat room. Different schools of thought may interpret curriculums differently. We would love to know how you would interpret what a curriculum is. What is a curriculum? If you are an in-service teacher, if you are a trainee teacher, what is the definition of curriculum that you know? Okay, Miss Deborah, the framework that defines what should be taught in schools in a country. Very good, thank you. Miss Felicia, a set of topics, guidelines, or instructions that helps a country achieve its educational goal. Very good, thank you very much for that. Mr. Biney, they are subjects learned in school. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see what our other participants also think a curriculum is. Okay, so let's go on whilst we wait for the other responses. The basic thing, the basic concept of what a curriculum is that it is a framework that everything else is supposed to be built on when it comes to education within a particular jurisdiction. So a very simple definition we can give for it is that it is a structured framework outlining what students should learn and how they should learn it. And it goes to shaping teaching, assessment, and the overall educational goals of a country, of a district, of a region. So that is a basic thing about, if we call something a curriculum, it is a framework on which everything else in that field is supposed to be built on. So with all the curriculums we have had in the past in Ghana, that is what they have served to do, to serve as a framework, the building blocks on which everything else we do regarding education in the country is built on. Miss Theodora, a national document that aligns what is to be taught in the classroom. Very true, very true. Thank you. Now, in Ghana, what is the scope of Ghana's pre-tertiary education system? What is the scope of Ghana's pre-tertiary education system? So by scope, what does it cover? Which areas does it address? With the pre-tertiary education system in Ghana, It includes a basic level, so right from preschool to primary 1, all the way to primary 6. Then we have junior high school and the senior high school level. That is the scope of the pre-tertiary education system. So if a curriculum is said to be meant for the pre-tertiary system, it covers right from preschool all the way to the senior high or the secondary level. And they are designed to provide foundational knowledge, practical skills, and preparation for further studies or the workforce. So you'd agree that if it is from the preschool level to the basic school, those are foundational knowledge skills. Then we come to the high school level, then we start with the critical thinking skills. SHS, preparing the person for further studies, that is tertiary education, or even going directly into the field of work. That is the scope of Ghana's pre-tertiary education system. Why do we need the curriculums in the first place? Why do they matter? Can't we just... Okay, there's a question, Mr. Dodu. What about the technical and vocational schools? Yes, they fall within that bracket, but I know that currently in our curriculum framework, there is a little bit of separation in the vocational schools and the technical schools, though there is an argument for them to be put into one system. That is still a work in progress. We still have schools that are both grammar schools and technical schools. Then we still have some schools that are separate with their own framework. I know talks are in place to bring them under one umbrella, but currently there's a little division between the two. That is regarding the technical and vocational schools. Why do curriculum reviews matter? Can't we just use a curriculum that Ghana started out with years ago? Why should we bother changing it or reviewing it? Reviews need to be done to ensure that curriculums stay relevant by adapting to a number of things. 1, societal needs. So 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the needs of Ghana as a country, are they the same needs that we have today? If they are not, it means our curriculum needs to be reviewed to match the needs of the country now. We cannot use the template we had 30, 40 years ago to solve the problems of Ghana today. That is one of the reasons why we need to have a review of our curriculum. Then we look at technological advancements. The world is moving at a very fast pace, and we need to be able to move with the world and survive. We need to be able to move with the world and survive and thrive. So we cannot remain using those technologies that we're using 30, 40 years ago and training our learners with those skills when in today's world, those technological skills will no longer be relevant. Reviews need to be made to change those things to suit today's world. Another reason is to meet global educational trends. We will admit that we now have a lot more students traveling internationally to school to pursue first degrees, to pursue master's degrees, PhDs. If a learner from Ghana is trained a certain way to suit what we were doing 10, 15 years ago, how do we expect that learner to move to a different country, which is 10, 15 years ahead of us, and thrive there? It'll be almost impossible. So a number of things inform the reviews of our curriculum: our societal needs, technological advancement, and the global educational trends. Yes, Miss Hannah, you are right. Curriculum review is necessary to meet the changing needs of the country and the world. You are very right. The old curriculum, the one we're using prior to 2019, 2020, what are some of the distinct features of that curriculum? Per your experience, what are some of the distinct features of the curriculum Ghana was using 2019, 2020 for the basic level, and then even the one that has been introduced for the senior high school? Okay, Mr. Israel is objective-based. Miss Theodora, it is theory-based. All true. Any other features that make the old curriculum unique, at least that stand out in the old curriculum? Mr. Abdul Mumin, it is teacher-centered. True, true. It was more teacher-centered. Very true. The content was overloaded, Mr. Sarkodie. Thank you for that. And Mr. Israel, yes, the lack of ICT integration in the old curriculum. You are all very right. All those things are distinct features of the old curriculum. So the old curriculum or the old model is referred to as the objective-based curriculum. So there was a lot of focus on memorization, rote learning, because students were overloaded and they had to fit a lot into a short time frame to pass exams most of the time. Those were some of the things we noticed about the old curriculum. There was very limited emphasis on critical thinking skills, creativity, and practical skills. So I see that there's a comment in the chat room about Miss Deborah. Yes, apart from mathematics, very few of the subjects had a practical assessment component. That is true. That is true. And some of the challenges we had with the old curriculum was that it was quite loaded. It was quite loaded, which in turn made teachers focus so much on finishing for exam purposes, rather than ensuring that students really understand and can use whatever skills and knowledge they were being taught. And it got to a point, our old curriculum did not align with the national developmental priorities. So we said we want to be a country that manufactures. But what percentage of our curriculum catered to that? It was mostly theory aspect. So there was that misalignment in the curriculum versus the national development priorities. Those are some of the things that were problematic with the old curriculum. Now, let's move on to the new curriculum. So in latter part of 2019, early 2020, the one for the basic school was rolled out. What was new about it compared to the old objective-based curriculum? What was new about it? So if you remember, that one is called the Common Core. So our colleagues in the pre-SHS, yes, that is the one I'm referring to. Yes, true. Mr. Gideon, the new curriculum is standard-based, It integrates a lot of ICT skills, 21st century skills, and national and cultural values. And it is also learner-centered teaching. Learner-centered teaching. That is all true. Sociocultural learning, very true. Thank you. So with the new curriculum, the focus is on competency. So a learner's competency in a particular skill, emphasizing on, I will call them the 4 C's: critical thinking skills, creativity, collaboration, and communication. Running through the new curriculum, these skills are emphasized at every point, teaching the student how to be critical thinkers, problem solvers, how to be creative in the solutions they come up with, how to work together on projects, collaboration, how to communicate their ideas to people. All these things are emphasized in the new curriculum. Then we have the focus on practical learner-centered teaching. Practical learner-centered teaching. So if we are teaching a particular topic or a particular concept, it is not just about the child knowing how to explain it in words. They should be able to replicate it in a practical sense. That is where the focus is going to. Now, some of the learning areas that have been emphasized in the new curriculum are the integration of digital literacy across the strands, across all subjects. Then global citizenship. So we spoke, there was a contribution about national and cultural values and global citizenship. Because the world has become a very small place. We are no longer much of an island in the world. So we should be able to coexist with people from other regions, other countries, and still have meaningful interactions with them. The focus is also on career readiness. So if you listen to the argument from those who attended school, who went through the O-level, A-level system, the argument is that at that time, when you finish O-level, you have employable skills. Or you go all the way to A-level, you have employable skills. But you will agree with me that it got to a point, if somebody finishes SHS, it is very difficult for them to say they have any skills that can earn them a salary. And that is what the new curriculum seeks to do away with. If a learner goes all the way to SHS and they finish and they are not able to continue to tertiary immediately, they should have skills that will enable them to be employed and make some money for themselves. That is a career readiness. And a key area that has changed in the new curriculum is the assessment section, the assessment, how learning is assessed, how competency is assessed. So there is a shift from rote learning to continuous formative assessment, where gradually a learner's skill is assessed at every point before they even get to the end of a particular level of learning. Instead of where we have just a WASSCE exam or a BEC exam being the sole determiner of a learner's competency. Now, your competency a learner's competency is going to be based on more than just an end of period exam. So in the past, when we had high stakes exams where everything lies on that exams, is a do or die affair. Now the new curriculum seeks to remove that so that whilst in school for 2 years, 2.5 years, a learner builds their grades up all the way before they add whatever performance they are going to get from the BEC or the WASSCE exam. So these are some of the new things introduced with the rollout of the new pre-tertiary curriculum. So this is a simple table showing at least a comparison between the objective-based and the standard-based curriculum. There are other areas where there are differences. These are just a few of them. So the old curriculum focuses on rote learning, as opposed to the standard-based curriculum, which focuses on critical thinking and creativity. When it comes to assessment, the old curriculum is exam-based, but the new curriculum is competency-based. When you come to the skills development, there was very little skill development in the old curriculum. That was what made it not suitable to national developmental goals. So the new curriculum seeks to take care of that by providing the learner with lifelong skills and job readiness skills. And when it comes to inclusivity, there was very minimal consideration for differences in learner abilities. But the new curriculum seeks to address that in promoting diversity and then equity in the teaching and learning process. So these are some of the differences between the old curriculum and the new curriculum. Now, another one for us to consider. We would like to know your take on this. So the same way for this one, you can scan the QR code or you can type your response in the chat room. In one word, how would you describe your experience with the curriculum so far? In one word, how would you describe your experience with the new curriculum so far? You can either scan the QR code to type in your response, or you can simply type your response into the Zoom chat room. Mr. Baini, awesome. Okay. Ofusu Anderson, interesting. Miss Boateng, awesome. Miss Mavis, exciting. Okay. Miss Daniel Nana Ajiman, perfect. Insightful, good. Wow. I love the experiences you are sharing. I love them. They are all positive. That's very good. I'm glad they are all positive. It means we are doing the work. We are doing the work. Evolving, Mr. Sarkodie. Thank you. Okay. Any more experiences? Okay. Intriguing, Mr. Sa. Mr. Upon, good. Okay. So we have varying experiences with the new curriculum because our classroom situations are not the same. Mr. Elom, progressive. Miss Angelina, learner-centered. Okay. Thank you for your responses. Thank you very much. As I said, we have what? Mind broadening. Wow. Okay. Transformation. Innovative. Involving. Okay. That is all very good. Challenging, Mr. Noah. Okay. So in yes, the curriculum document is all well and good to have a document saying that we are changing from the old to the new, but it's just a document. It has to go through a process to translate into real-time effect in the country. And that is about implementation. Implementation. Now, implementation, we are going to look at the challenges with implementation. But I'm happy most of the experiences coming are positives. It means though we are facing challenges, we are working around them to resolve. That is very good. One key challenge with the implementation, and I think if I ask all of us to mention if we have challenges with resources in our classrooms, I'm sure everybody will say yes. One big challenge we are facing is inadequate teaching resources and materials. That runs from preschool all the way to senior high school. The resources are not enough. They are just not enough. So if you are in a classroom, you are being told to ask your learners to create portfolios, e-portfolios. How are you going to make them do that or teach them how to do that? Your classrooms don't even have power. So what are you going to use to create the e-portfolio? You don't have any computer in your school. What are you going to do? So right from implementation, the problems confront us. The challenges confront us. Mr. Guma, he says, the resources are not there at all, not that they are not enough. Well, we always say that when you use the word lack, it implies that the thing is not in existence at all. So are we saying that across the country, all schools do not have any of the resources for the new curriculum? I believe that is not the case. But for most of us, we are experiencing inadequacy of the materials that the new curriculum asks us to use. That is the best way to explain it. Inadequacy is the issue. Some have acute inadequacy, some have minimal inadequacy, but all of them will come under the resources being inadequate. Very true. We are asked to cover too much within a short time. That is very true. Now, another problem we are facing with implementation is insufficient teacher training for effective implementation. Okay. How many of us have had the opportunity to take the digital literacy online course that NTC asked us to take some time ago? Or so I think not too long ago. The digital literacy course, online course. How many of us? Okay, Mr. Benjamin has. Anyone else? So not too long ago, text messages were sent out regarding that course, digital literacy. Even sometime last year, we were asked to do that course, though there were challenges with enrolling. You see? Miss Deborah hasn't even heard about it. Mr. Daniel is on it. So you see the problem with the teacher training, how effective it is. I tried going through the content of that training. That training requires a lot of time and attention to understand the content. But the way and manner in which it is structured, I doubt the percentage of teachers who will be able to go through successfully and retain any skills from it to apply in their classrooms. The structure is problematic. The content is overloaded. So that is even just one example of the insufficient teacher training. There are other areas too. If you are asking teachers to differentiate their assessment, or scaffold their activities in the classroom. Yes, we have all gone through teacher training. It's assumed that all of us have knowledge about that. But we'll agree that if you have knowledge about something and you have not been applying it over time, it becomes rusty. You become rusty at it. So now that they have brought that all of us should implement the new curriculum, I think there should be better training on some of these areas to cater for what we are supposed to do day to day in the classroom. So the training component should be improved. Now, another area is collaboration. Collaboration between stakeholders during rollout. Yes, when NACA, the curriculum framework, all those other agencies that came together to formulate the new curriculum. It's all well and good. Teacher unions were involved. University teacher training institutions were involved. But ask yourself this: what was the input of the classroom teacher before the rollout? What was the input of the classroom teacher before the rollout? Yes, a curriculum developer, a policy maker can come up with a very beautiful document. But translating it to real-time classroom activities, that's a whole different ballgame. That's a whole different thing. What was the level of involvement of the classroom teacher? The classroom teacher is the final implementer of the curriculum. What was the level of input from the classroom teacher? That is why, since the rollout of the new curriculum, there is a lot of pushback from teachers when it comes to implementation. Most teachers feel that they are being pressured to implement something that they didn't have much say in the formulation of. Yes, there was teacher involvement, but the question is, to what extent? We keep having pushback. I don't think if there was sufficient teacher involvement, there will be so much pushback in the implementation of the new curriculum in the classroom. So that is one challenge we are facing. Another challenge is public concerns about classroom practices not aligning with curriculum goals. So the involvement of parents, community members. A parent wants their child to pass WASSCE and pass with flying colors and get admission to the university. Have we made the parent understand that now, because of the new curriculum, your child's probability of getting admission into a tertiary institution is not solely dependent on what they get in WASSCE, but in their day-to-day performance in school? Have we made the parents understand this? Have we made community members understand this? If there is that disconnect, we will be doing one thing in school and the parents will have different expectations of their children. And that will always be a challenge for us. That will always be a challenge. Another one that I'm happy has been raised in the chat room is large classroom sizes. You are asking a teacher to give attention to everyone in his or her class, to supervise whatever skill they are working on. I know GHS, SHS, we have schools with 50, 60 students in one room being manned by one teacher. And you are supposed to achieve something with them within a space of 1 hour or 2 hours. The teacher is not a magician. If you want a teacher to pay attention to each individual child, it's either you are putting more than one teacher in a room or you are reducing the teacher to student ratio so that at least if you are putting 30 students in a class, that is reasonable. But to expect a teacher to handle 50, 60 students in a room and still give them the due attention as a class that will have 25 students, 30 students, then the challenge will not stop because the teacher will be determined to finish what he has to finish for that day. And some students will end up losing. So the class sizes are also a challenge we are facing when it comes to implementation of the new curriculum. Wow, 70 to 100 students in a class. I don't envy you at all. So our problems, yes, the document has come to change things, but on the ground, are things in place to make sure that the change is effectively done the way we want it to be? That question is left unanswered. Yes. So, yes, Mr. Baini, you are not alone. As you can see in the chat room, you are not alone in the challenge. Yes. All being said about the challenges we are facing with the implementation, I know that we are still making improvement. We are still making some wins in the classroom with the new curriculum. I would always say that change is never easy, especially in education. But in the face of our challenges, we must learn to celebrate our victories, no matter how small. It will boost our morale. So I know that though we are facing challenges in our various schools, in our various classrooms, we have had some wins. We have seen some improvement. We would love to hear how you are overcoming the odds in your classroom. Kindly share just something brief in the chat room. How are you overcoming the odds in your classroom or in your school? Let me share one from my end first. I teach at the senior high school level in a school that is a rural school. And currently we have, I think, 8 computers in good working condition in our ICT lab for the whole school. And we have every department using the same computers periodically, but it's mainly for the ICT subject. In my case, students, I decided to give a vacation assignment where students will write stories and create a picture, create an AI image and at least AI image related to the story, and then attach to it and submit through Gmail or email. It was something I tried doing with my students. Now, it was a challenge. It was challenging, but I still saw some improvement. Some of the students, their typing was problematic, but they made the attempt. They tried. Some of the students, they sent it through their parents or siblings' email accounts. Some of the students actually asked me to help them create email accounts We went through the process and they submitted the work themselves. Now, the part that surprised me the most was how they created the pictures to go with their stories. Some decided to download pictures straight from Google, but a number of students also used Meta AI. Those stories they had written for me, they copied the stories into WhatsApp, Meta AI, and then the images were generated for them. They attached it to the stories and then they sent to me. Some of them were able to type them as Word documents and insert the pictures on them. Some of them couldn't do that. So they just typed the story into the email inbox and then attached the picture as an attachment. I accepted all of it because my focus was on them making the attempt to meet the parameters of the assignment they were given. So I knew that we had made some gains there. So next time, I know how else I can structure if I want to give them an assignment and I want them to submit digitally. But I still have some students who didn't submit at all. They wrote on paper and brought it to me because they didn't have anybody with a smartphone around to help them to send it by email. So I understood and I accepted it all. So that is one thing I have also gained from the new curriculum. It's a little win, but I take it in good faith. Okay, Mr. Abekan Wood, you put your students into smaller mixed ability groups of 5 and 6. That means in the past, you were not doing small groups, I assume. Yes, Mr. Baini, I understand what you mean. For the schools that have very high numbers, the ICT labs are always busy. You would not have other departments even having access to use the ICT lab. In my case, we are not that many. So there are some free periods that other departments can make use of the ICT lab. Okay, Miss Mavis, you also employ a lot of groupings for the assessments. That is very good. So it is not all bad. We are making some gains with the new curriculum. We are making some gains with the new curriculum. Let's not give up. Let's not give up. Yes, so as I said earlier, despite the limited resources, some teachers have creatively used available materials to enhance learning. It is something you can do. You know, at least the little you can do to introduce, especially when it comes to the digital resources, the little one you can do to introduce them to it, the students will be very appreciative. They'll be very appreciative. Another success, despite the challenges, is the COPs and professional learning communities. So right now, in every school, it is mandatory. There are professional learning communities right from the preschool level all the way to the senior high school level. And every teacher is supposed to take part, whether it is school level, department level, or subject level. We are supposed to share ideas, best practices, teaching strategies. So if I do something in my class and it's working, when we meet, I share it. If you feel it can work in your class, you try it out. If it works for you, fair enough. If it doesn't, you can even adapt it to suit your situation. So none of us is an island in the schools or subject areas in which we find ourselves. We have partners, we have groups we can share ideas with. So you are never alone. Even if you don't have somebody in your school, you should try to reach out to someone in another school who is teaching the same subject area and you can share ideas with a person. That is one thing that this new curriculum has brought, because in the past, there was nothing about compulsory PLCs. Now it is compulsory. And communities of practice like this. So if you are IELTA members in the central region or IELTA members in the Volta region, even if you cannot meet face to face, you still have the opportunity to converse, chat with each other. Oh, I teach SHS1, I teach SHS2. I treated this topic in this way, but I had a challenge when it got to this point. If it were you, how would you treat it? Your colleague will share. If you feel that will work in your situation, you can try it out and give feedback. Then we can keep sharing. We build a bank of strategies and best practices that we can all fall on to make our teaching more effective. And I've already spoken about the technology integration. It is not easy. If I ask right now, how many of us still have our TM1 working? I don't know how many hands will go up. There are 63 of us here. If I ask right now, how many of us have our TM1s working? I don't know how many hands will go up. Mine is not working anyway. I'll be the first person to respond. Mine is not working. So we are being asked to introduce and integrate IT into all the aspects of teaching that we are doing. So in English, for instance, when it comes to the 5 strands, we are being asked to do that for all of them. But do you have the resources to do it? If you don't have a laptop to do an oral lesson, your phone can do it. If you don't have a smartphone, you can use a Bluetooth speaker where maybe you have your audio on a pen drive, you insert it in the Bluetooth player, and then you have your oral lesson with your students. If you are lucky to have a sound system or whatever in your school location that you are allowed to use, or a few schools have the benefit of having a language lab, then you are lucky. One, when we ask our students to type, to bring us typed work, to submit typed work, where are they going to type it? Do they have access to a laptop, access to a computer, or they are going to use their phones? If they are going to use their phones mostly, it means you have to take the pains to guide them how to type properly on the phone. Or if it is not too much of a hassle for you, as a department, if you are, let's say, 4 or 5 English language teachers, you can decide to have a session where all of you make your laptops available at that particular time. So everybody within that 2 hours, you expect the responses, the work to be done within that time. Yes, Mr. Benjamin, upon the phone issue, I know there should be a push from our side as teachers because they're asking us to make our students digitally literate, but the devices are not there. So if students own smartphones, if parents can afford the devices for their students, why are they not allowed to bring them to school to use for academic purposes? Because we can't provide it for them. We can't provide those gadgets for them. And if government cannot provide, why shouldn't the parents be allowed to provide for their wards? That is an argument for another day, I'm sure. But there are a lot of hindrances to the digital literacy we are looking for. And some of these things the parents can work on, but they are not being allowed to. They are not being allowed to. Yes. In a code of conduct, the students' code of conduct, it's like, it's a bit gray as to items that are not supposed to be brought to the school. So if you bring it, the school will seize it. I don't really know how they want to address that particular issue pertaining to the new curriculum now, because they haven't brought out any directive on this after the new curriculum came into effect. So what do we recommend to make for improved implementation? What will be our recommendation? We are facing the challenges firsthand. What will be our recommendations for improved implementation? Kindly share your suggestions in the classrooms. E-classrooms, wow, e-classrooms. Learning resources, okay. Adequate facilities, all true. The government should prioritize teaching and learning resources. Teacher motivation, very important component. Yes, the learner material should be provided as soon as possible. They are taking too long. Okay. Welfare of teachers for efficiency. Yes, we are doing the work. If we are happy in the classroom, we will give our best. That is it. That is very true. So, as you can see, the first point for recommendation is increase access to teaching resources. Increase access to teaching resources. They can't be giving us the bare minimum and expect us to work to the best. Mr. Wood, yes, yes. This is something you can try. Maybe we can talk after the session. I'll give you a little trick with this one. Mr. Wood, we can talk after the session. I'll give you a little trick to add to it so the children don't put you in trouble when you start this. Yes, teacher perception. You know, yes, it's true that we are grieved about a number of things. And sometimes we transfer it to the new curriculum implementation. I am not disputing our right to be aggrieved about issues pertaining to our welfare. But when we are giving pushback to the new curriculum, let's make sure that we are doing it from an objective viewpoint. Let's be sure of that. If whatever hesitancy we have towards the new curriculum is not an objective one, then we are not being fair to our learners and to ourselves. Because the joy of every teacher is to train learners who will succeed all the way after school and make something of themselves. So if we are going to have ill perceptions about the new curriculum, let's make sure it is justified. Thank you. There also needs to be a strengthening of teacher training and professional development. It shouldn't be just sit somewhere for an hour or two, sit behind a computer, do something minimal, and then they say they have trained you. How sure are they that you can actually implement or translate that knowledge into real-time teaching practices in the classroom? It should go beyond just getting the training done, awarding points. It should go beyond that. And when it comes to stakeholder engagement, they should do better. They should do better. The policymaker should not see it as it's their job solely. There should be a lot of stakeholder engagement, especially to the level of the teacher in the classroom, because no matter how beautiful a document you come out with, if the person implementing on the ground does not understand or buy into it, your job is almost moot. So there should be enhanced stakeholder engagement when it comes to implementation of the new curriculum. And we should also promote continuous assessment. Just as the new curriculum says, it is not about end of stage exam. The focus has shifted to continuous assessment. So everything you do with your learners, right from day one in your class to the last day in your class, should count towards their performance. It should not just be about the high-stake exam at the end of the 3 years of JHS or SHS. And another very important thing, there should be support for innovation in the classroom. There should be support for innovation in the classroom. I'm going to give a little example. In the school that I teach in, at a point we had, I think, 4 switches in four sockets in every room. That was how the building was designed. Then it got to a point, there was a complaint that students were misusing the socket. I'm in a day school. Students were misusing the socket. I don't know what happened. Then a decision was taken by management to disconnect the sockets, all the sockets. So this one, if I take my laptop to the classroom, if I take my Bluetooth speaker to the classroom and I want to connect it to power, what do I do? What do I do? So some of these things are difficult. Some of these things are difficult. So imagine you're in a classroom where there is a light bulb in the room, yes, but there are no sockets to plug in things in the classroom. How do you cope? How do you manage that? So it's a lot. There should be support for these innovative practices they are asking us to implement in the classrooms at the school level, school management level, and at the national level. Miss Alice, I see you are facing the same challenge. It's unfortunate. And there should be a strengthening of professional learning communities or communities of practice in our schools, in our district, in our regions. All these are recommendations we will keep on making to the powers that be, hoping that they will work on them and gradually the implementation process will become smoother than what we are experiencing now. Okay, so here I would like us to do a little exercise just to recap a few things. I will move to a different screen for now, and then we'll take it from there. Let me see, let me type this in the chat room first. Okay, so just a few questions to recap. So I'm going to start hosting it live. Okay, so it is loading and it will start very soon. All what you have to do is you either scan this QR code with your phone's QR code scanner, or you type into a browser www.kahoot.it. When it opens, you type in this pin. Then we can start. Okay, one person has been able to join. We have a second person joining. Let's see if we can get about, it allows quite a number of people. If we can get about 10 people joining, then we can start. We have the third person joining. Number 4 has joined. Number 5. Number 6. Number 7. 3 more to go. Number 8. 2 more to go. Number 9, and we need one more person, then we can start. Very good. We have 10 people. So when I click on start, the questions will start coming up. There will be optional answers. You would click on one to select the answer, and then the next question will come up. There are 5 questions. Oh, wow, 13. So now I can start. We are starting. Okay. Okay. What key area does the new curriculum emphasize to promote hands-on learning and practical skills? Okay. We had one correct response. Okay. The next question. Oh, wow. So currently, this is the scoreboard, and these are the 2 on top of the scoreboard. Next question. What are the 4 C's that the curriculum aims to develop in learners? Okay. Very good. We've had a change. Yeah, Amponsa is on the lead, followed by Ebenezer. Okay, let's go to the third question. Which of the following is a key goal of the new curriculum's continuous assessment approach? Hey. Ebenezer is now on top. Okay, let's go to the next question. What is one of the core competencies the curriculum aims to develop in learners? Okay. Now we have Rashid Musa on top of the table. Okay. And to the next question, which is the last question. Which of the following is a key pillar of Ghana's new curriculum? Okay, so that was the last question. So now let's see who is on top. We have Ebenezer third, Pre second, and on top of the table, we have Rashid Musa. Well done to all of you who took part. Well done, well done. So these are some of the things at least we remember about the new curriculum. Yes. So let me go back. And go back and share from my slides. Give me a second. My internet has slowed down a bit. Okay. Director, I hope you can see. Okay, let me share my screen again. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Let me go back and share my screen. So that is one activity you can try with your learners, but it requires quite a bit of planning because they will need to use devices to access the quiz. So that is the Kahoot website. So to sum up, we will say that Ghana's curriculum reviews aim to align education with national development needs. And The new curriculum, which is a standard-based curriculum, represents a significant shift towards modern global educational practices. We also look at challenges that are persistent with the new curriculum, but that can be addressed through better planning, training, and resource allocation. Now, question time. I know we have had a lot of interaction, but if there are any questions, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 questions, we can take them here before the second speaker comes in. If not, you can hold on to the questions. After the second speaker is done, we will take the questions together so that it will not drag for too long. Okay, so let's move on, and then we can take the questions at the end of the second session. Please, Mr. Baini, the JHS is basic, SHS is not basic. When they are being categorized, SHS is not basic. They are all pre-tertiary, but SHS is not basic. So I'll repeat that, yes, change is challenging, but every small step in the right direction matters. Change is challenging, but at least the very small steps we make towards the right direction, they will always be rewarding. And let us remember that together as a team, through collaboration, innovation, and persistence, we can navigate the challenges and create a better future for education in Ghana. Thank you. Now, on to session 2 of our presentation for today. And our resource person for this part is in the person of Mr. Maupemo K. Agogli. He is going to handle the topic assessment and evaluation. I will leave it for him to introduce himself, and we'll take it from there. Mr. Maupemo, if you
Yes.
can hear me. Okay, good. Kindly
Yes, I can
introduce
hear you.
yourself to the house.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam Doreen Dela. My name is Maupemo, as you rightly said, Maupemo Kwame Agogli. I'm also a teacher in the secondary school. And so I'm happy to be given this platform to share my ideas with other colleagues and seniors of mine. We are here to learn together. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. So, Mr. Maupemo, I will stop sharing from my end so that you can share the screen from your end.
All right, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. Now you can go ahead.
Okay. Just a moment as I pick my document. Okay.